The calm before the storm. This is it, my friends. I am telling you, it's happening right in front of your eyes, and you have no idea it's happening. We did see a little bit of a market correction in early 2022 when interest rates went up, but for the most part, it's been flat. Resale values are holding strong. Builders are making it super easy for buyers paying attention, and commercial everywhere is exploding, completely changing the way we live in Arizona and what will be here in just the next 5 to 10 years. TSMC just announced 100 billion more investment in the greater Phoenix area. That's a total of $265 billion in the greater Phoenix area, making this the largest chip hub in the country. So what does this mean for Phoenix? Let's get into it. All right, let's get into this TSMC news because this is brand new and it's very exciting for the Phoenix Valley. And I come from Silicon Valley in San Jose, California. I've seen this before. Let's address the elephant in the room, and that is, where are we going to get the water? That's what that's the first thing all the naysayers talk about. This is a manufacturing facility. It's not a data center. Okay. So there's a lot more that come with a manufacturing facility, where data centers are very few employers. They're high paid jobs, but there's only a handful for each of these ginormous buildings, and they are water hogs to some extent because they are now using air coolers. That's a different conversation. This is a manufacturing facility. Now, while no facility has zero water impact, TSMC has built its own water reclamation plant right on site. And when it's fully operational, it will be reclaiming and reusing more than 90% of its water. So it's very little impact. And the fact that Taiwan Semiconductor, I keep using the full name, TSMC, is one of the most water efficient semiconductor manufacturers in the world, their technology is beyond even what we're creating here in America. And they've built this facility specifically for our desert climate. So when we look at the fact that the water that's being invested in TSMC, the return is exponential. This is going to be the largest semiconductor complex in the world outside of Taiwan. Currently, with the fabs that are open right now, they are employing 3,500 people. With the new fabs that they are already started building on, they kind of let it out after they started building. It's well along the way, guys, just letting you know. 6,000 more new jobs, 6,000 more new jobs. And the construction jobs here, which by the way are very high paying, more than 40,000 jobs. Like, it's insane what's happening. And I'm just talking about TSMC. TSMC is also already brought more than 50 different supply chain companies into the greater Phoenix area, many of which that haven't even arrived yet. And this is not just in the northwest part of the valley. This goes all the way down to some of the people have been talking about, like, what's going on in Coolidge and Florence and Casa Grande. This all has to do with TSMC. And we are seeing new industrial complexes to accommodate some of the closer companies that are going to be moving in here that haven't got here yet. We have new freeway expansions, insane amount of more construction jobs, ADOT. We have, and I love that Arizona stays in front of this congestion that will potentially come. It will be here in 10 years. In less than 10 years, this is just going to be completely blown up. It's insane. We have more housing, of course. We've already seen an abundance of that here in the Northwest Valley. We're going to talk a little bit more about how the valley's doing residential wise. But if you want to know what really is going on, you have to subscribe to my big channel. The link is below, and we're going to be talking a lot about the housing in the North Peoria area. Back to this video though. We have hotels coming in here. We have shopping, we have dining, we have schools, we have daycare, we have medical care. It's just this exponential growth. We even have Costco that's already committed to being right across the street from Taiwan Semiconductor. It's insane. This, like I said, this is all from 5 years ago. There was nothing there. And this is what we have today. Phoenix is outpacing Silicon Valley. Like I said, this is where I was from. I remember growing up in the 80s, there was IBM, there was Xerox, a couple of big companies, but for the most part, it was just a smaller community that had beautiful orchards. It reminds me a lot of Phoenix. I swear to God. This is what happened to Silicon Valley, guys. Remember, I said that. And Austin, Texas, which also has been very much a growing part of our country with technology. Phoenix, though, is the #1 leading edge manufacturing corridor in the country. Yeah. All right, how do we finish up that? That was fantastic news. I'm excited. What does that mean for buyers today? That's what we need to focus on. So we're going to take a look at the Cromford Market Index number. If you haven't seen my videos before, this is a proprietary number where they take the supply and the demand and they give us kind of that temperature. Now, if we watch the Cromford Market Index, it kind of tells you what to expect in the future, although it isn't a perfect science. Is anything with real estate? No, it's not. So numbers, anything below 90 is going to be considered a buyer's market. Anything over 110 is going to be a seller's market. And today we're looking at about an 80 number, 80.5. How has that changed from the last week, month, year, 3 years? We've just been in this, I've called it the Groundhog Month, my reports. It has pretty much been the same. When we look at it maybe a little bit further back so you can see what a seller's market is, you can see how dramatically it's different. There is a long way that it needs to go for it to turn into what would be a really positive seller's market. Now, does that mean that no one's moving? No, it doesn't. It means we do have a little bit more of an inventory. We'll get to that in just a moment. If we look at the CMI history, we can see, first of all, over the last 25 years, Phoenix has predominantly been in the seller's market, and it will inevitably return. And based on all the information that I just provided you, it will be coming within the next 5 years. The question is will there be any, downturn before that? And I know that that's why there's a lot of people that are a little resistant. And here's where the Cromford Market Index is going to kind of tell you what the future will bring. Again, no perfect science. That's my disclaimer. If we go back in time, you can kind of take a look at this black number. And about the black number, the black line, I should say, is the Cromford Market Index. About 6 months later, you can see how the real estate market responds. When it was going up, 6 months later, appreciation was going up. And when the black line was going down, we saw appreciation going down. Now, if you look at the last couple of years, it's been flat. So what does that tell you about our market? It potentially will be flat until it isn't. And that's where you want to get in at the bottom and ride it on up. But even if there's a little bit of a dip before it goes up, you're perfect timing. All right, let's break down the Phoenix area. There's several different markets. We have our retirement, we have our general population, and then we also have our luxury market. If we break it down also by cities, these are going to be higher demand versus newer suburbs, closer in. Like there's a lot of different markets. And so if you're thinking about buying, you got to give us a call because we have the insight on everywhere. But this, again, in this video, I'm just going to give it to you from a high level, and we're going to look at it from a city perspective. The cities that you can see that still have the strongest seller's market, this is not a blowing out of the water seller number, as I showed you before. Also, by the way, this particular chart is given to you from a seller perspective. So if you look at Fountain Hills, right now, that Cromford market number is 176. It means it went up a full 3%, which is not rather significant, but it is up. And that means it's good for sellers. So again, if you have a buyer hat on, just flip that arrow the other side around. So if you look at the luxury markets and the high demand areas, which means closer to employment, closer to medical care, freeway access, more amenities, more built up, those are going to be the areas that you're going to find again in these green area. Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, Chandler, and Paradise Valley are going to be the strongest sellers markets. But everything there's a little bit of a change every single month. Phoenix, the core of the Phoenix area, I know a lot of people that are relocating here don't even consider the city of Phoenix unless they're extreme north or extreme south. There's a lot of really cool neighborhoods. If you're looking for something charming, if you're looking for a historic district, there is a lot of walkable districts. And of course, though, I always say with big city also comes big city problems. So when you're talking about homeless or higher crime rates, that's going to be found in the city of Phoenix and actually Glendale and even the closer in parts of Mesa. So ironically, but they're still in a good, they're always in demand. That's all I got to say. Cave Creek, also luxury. Now we start going to the balanced markets. Now, some of these balanced markets were in the seller market just last month. This would be Gilbert and Avondale. And again, these numbers are based on supply and demand. So when some people are like, I can't believe that Avondale was in the seller's market, it's just because there wasn't a lot of homes available in that area. And based on the buyer demand, it put it in a seller's market. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a crazy market. But Avondale, Peoria, and Tempe are considered balanced markets. Now, again, it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at resale, if you're looking at new construction, this is all the data that's extrapolated. Boy, that was a fancy word, from our MLS system, which is only a portion of new construction, which kind of messes these numbers up. They're not 100% accurate, but they do accurately reflect resale. Now, the buyer's markets, you'll notice that these are going to be on the suburbs, on the outside. These are also where it's a lot more affordable, and this is where we have the heaviest concentration of new construction competition. We have Goodyear, Surprise, Santan Valley, Maricopa, Buckeye, and as you can see on the right-hand side, some of these smaller cities. I'm going to talk real quick about Queen Creek because Queen Creek, I'll be honest with you, it looks like it's on sale. Okay, at a 51 number, you would just think that property values are diving. They're not. There has been a decline unique to Queen Creek, and I'll tell you what the biggest challenge is for Queen Creek these days. People that live there are overwhelmed with the traffic buildup. We are seeing a vast majority of resale sellers hitting the road, and they aren't leaving Arizona though. They're just leaving Queen Creek. They're either heading out further to Santan Valley where you can get more house for your money and it's kind of quiet. People that originally bought in Queen Creek 4 or 5 years ago, they moved out here because it was outside of the crazy busyness of Chandler and Gilbert. And now that Queen Creek is exploding, as well as the traffic in Queen Creek is overwhelming. But it's not because of what Queen Creek is or isn't doing. It's because there's no freeways that funnels the 80,000 people that live in Santan Valley. So everyone that lives in Santan Valley is cutting through Queen Creek. So people, like I said, there's a lot of resale inventory there. They're either moving further out because that's what they wanted, that peace and quiet, or they're moving in because they're like, I don't like being in all this chaos. And if I'm going to be in the chaos, I'm going to be closer to everything. So we see a lot of people moving internally from Queen Creek. If you're thinking about Queen Creek, there are some phenomenal opportunities, but I'll tell you, the best ones, they go fast. Even over $1 million, $1.2 million. We had another client that was looking at a property and then kind of hemming and hawing only for maybe 10 or 15 days. It was gone. So there's some great opportunities for buyers in Queen Creek. I will say as soon as the freeway system gets remedied in the East Valley, which is going to be that 505 freeway, it's still going to be a little ways, guys. It's going to be about another 7-8 years before we see that relief on the freeway. So know that if you're buying out in this area, you got to have a conversation with us. We talk about the trade-offs, the pros and the cons, what you can expect, not only today, but in the future. This is so important for new construction. It's so important. Let's compare the East Valley to the West Valley, because I feel once upon a time it was really heavy East Valley, like that's where everybody wanted to live, but it's evening out, guys. And in some cases, the West Valley is kicking butt. Let's talk about total sales. When we look at all of the sales, The top 3 zip codes are in the West Valley, but when we look at the total sales in the top 22 zip codes, because that's what fit on one piece of paper on one page, the East Valley is still winning. Very desirable, top rated schools, freeways, activities, schools. Did I already say that? I did. Hiking, biking, shopping, dining, diversity. Like East Valley has a lot going for itself. Not to mention the luxury, which, by the way, don't go anywhere. I'm going to have a little section on luxury in a moment. But the East Valley has, let's just say, everything. The West Valley is stepping up, guys. And when we look at new construction only, West Valley is kicking East Valley's butt. Not only for its affordability, but to be honest with you, some people just, again, it's a trade-off. And some people just don't see paying $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 more for a home to be in the East Valley when they can have some beautiful views. There are more mountain views in the West Valley than there are East Valley. And the sacrifices, that long list is now a short list. You have Costco's in the West Valley. We have more hospitals in the West Valley. We have more Sprouts that have opened up in the West Valley. We have more Trader Joe's that have opened up in the West Valley. So again, once upon a time, it just wasn't accessible unless you wanted to drive a really long ways. Now, some of those life benefits, some of those amenities aren't out of reach. And so those trade-off, that balance is changing a little bit. What's right for you? I'd love to hear it. I'll bet you can't find another realtor that can talk any city at this level than my team. If you are thinking of relocating, I'm telling you, you want to understand the pros and cons and trade-offs for everywhere. There's no perfect place, but we can help guide you from just where do we live to finding the perfect place. When I say place, I mean area and home. Now, if we ask where are all these people coming from, because we still are one of the fastest growing counties in America. And that's another thing too. When you watch some of these YouTubers, they talk about just the county and they only talk about Maricopa County. Pinal County is a strong contender, guys. We have hundreds of thousands of people that are now calling Pinal County home, but they're still part of the greater Phoenix area. So that's why those numbers are skewed. And that's why you got to tune into a local realtor, not a higher level covering the country. Point is, where are these people coming from? The number one place people are coming from are California. Now, before you hate, I'm a Californian myself. And let me tell you, the majority of the people that we are receiving calls from are from Southern California, although I'm from Northern California. We've helped a lot of people from Northern California as well. And people are just tired. They're exhausted with what has been going on. And again, at some point, and I talked about this too, about East Side, West Side, that pendulum swings. And so when people who had bought homes a long time ago in California, therefore they're not paying these crazy property taxes, they were willing to tolerate some of the blue antics that are in California. And then it gets to the point where, again, it just keeps going and it's getting pushing and pushing and pushing. And the Californians that are calling us today are not Democrats. And I don't mean to make this political. It's the people that are tired of the blue way of thinking in California. The second largest group of new residents in the greater Phoenix area are a group called International. And this is really because of the technology that we have here. And unfortunately, we don't necessarily have all the skilled labor, specifically in Arizona, or even some other places in our country. And so it makes more sense for people to move here from Japan, China, Taiwan, India, Canada, Mexico. So that's the second largest population of people that are moving out here. The third largest population is Texas. And I'll be honest with you, most of the people that we have helped move here from Texas are not native Texans. They are people that moved from one of the coastal states, Washington, Oregon, and California, and they moved to Texas because that was kind of the thing to do in 2020 and 2021. And for whatever reason, they have realized that they don't like living in Texas and yet they still want to be close to their coastal family roots, love. And so they are choosing Arizona. So there you know who most of your neighbors are going to be from California, International, and Texas. All right, let's have a little fun sharing about luxury. We've seen everything break records in the Phoenix area for luxury market. We have consistently every single month, these luxury numbers, these luxury products are just moving along. I'm not going to say they're flying off the shelf because I'll tell you, it doesn't happen overnight for luxury market. But when they do sell, they make a huge splash. When we look at data over 800,000, and let me remind you that luxury is a product, not a price, but we had to kind of like differentiate. And when we saw these numbers over 800,000, rather consistent, we are seeing exponential interest and closings and growth, appreciation in the $1 million plus market. What does that tell you? It tells you that a lot of people that are moving here from other areas or people that are making investments really believe in our market. And the reason I bring up the investments is because I want to show you this home. We broke a record. The greater Phoenix area, we just closed on our most expensive home, little over $40 million. Actually, it's $40,238,000. I can't imagine what that $238,000 was for. It comes with 8 bedrooms plus 2 offices, 11 bathrooms. It comes with an 18-car garage. It also has a 19,000 square foot main house, a smaller guest house. It's also on 2 acres. And then we have there's so many rooms in this house, I couldn't even show it to you. It has a lounge, it has a bar, it has a theater, had a massage room, it had a gym, it had a salon, it had a spa. I don't even know the difference between all those rooms. Shooting range, golf cart. This was on the news if you didn't know, but it did close here in Paradise Valley this year. This was acquired by a company, a business. This is a leveraging purchase. This isn't like someone just moving here. Everybody thinks it's California coming here and just destroying our market. Not necessarily. We have billionaires investing in our market. These are not their primary residence. They're not even their second or third. These are like people that have 5 to 10 homes. And they are now putting Scottsdale and the luxury market. I hate to say it, guys. Scottsdale is kind of like saying Google. Like you don't do internet search, you do a Google search. Same thing. People don't say, oh my gosh, Paradise Valley. People that don't live here probably don't know that name. But needless to say, we are on the map, the greater Phoenix area. So when you look at where billionaires are investing in our real estate, it makes sense for even those of us that are still working and trying to make ends meet. And we call Arizona home. Look, if you guys are thinking of moving to the greater Phoenix area, and I mean anywhere, you have to give us a call. Shoot us a text, send us an email, days, nights, weekends, holidays. We are here for you. And understanding, especially with new construction, how this growth is going to be expanding in the valley. It's not equal. It's not meaning geographically. It's going to be kind of growing out northwest, but we're going to be seeing a lot still going west and east. It's growing everywhere. You got to talk to someone that knows all the different areas so that you can get all the information you need to make the right decision for you. All right, guys, I can't wait to hear from you. Give us a call today.